people. You know what I'm
That's a hard question to answer. Who's making that noise? Somebody got phone making a lot of noise. All right, so give me 1 second. All right, what I was gonna say is that's a hard question to answer for me. I want to go ahead. I'm gonna get you the answer, but I'll tell you this. Just initially, the scripture said there's no remembrance of former things, right? So you can go in the scriptures and find out that John didn't know that he was Elijah. A lot of people didn't know, and because of that scripture that says there is no remembrance of former things, meaning I can't tell you who I was or if I was here before. Um, I would just on the basis of that say no, but I want to double check because the Lord reveals some things to Christ that the average man wouldn't know. All right, so I want to say no, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and check. I'm gonna check with Cap or with one of the generals or whatever and get back to you. All right, just remind me.
saying? So like yes, sir.
Go ahead.
If a woman, let's say a real right, she wanna come and like you know prophesy to you or like pray with you or whatever, she must have her head covered, right?
That's correct.
Our concert.
When you say
So
you
like
saying
yes,
that
sir.
like what's going on? You saying that like let me see how you want to say it. Yeah, I got something going on here. Wait 1 second. All right, Salaki. Um, like if she's reading the Bible or something like that out loud or something like that, or praying, uh, out of respect for her head, she would have her head covered, right? Um, she don't have to have her head covered all the time. I believe that was your question. I don't know if I was on it or not.
Come on, concert.
All right. Can anybody tell me if the YouTube is up?
Come on, concert.
It's up.
Concert.
That's crazy.
Come on, concert. It's on.
That's crazy. All right. All right, so let's go to Hebrews 9 and 15. Let's go ahead and get started. It's Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, back in 1969. We under commanding General Yohanan. We're not affiliated with any other Hebrew Israelite group. No Black Lives Matter. No blackety black organization. None of that. All right. If it's not under commanding General Yohanan, it's not ordained by the Most High. All right. This is Truth 101 class. We was doing this class every Monday inside West Connect Library in Jacksonville for the COVID. We will be doing this class, Lord allow, next week in the home of the truth in Florida. Our new school. Somebody got the address? Right there in the middle of the raw. Riviera Beach, Florida. We'll get the address for you ASAP, all right? Um, First question we had was Hebrews chapter 9, verse 15. And it's let me repeat the question back to you. The question was, was blood required for, is what the reason Christ had to die is because blood was required for the New Testament. That's the question, right? All right. Go ahead.
Got the address for you.
Go ahead with it.
The address is 1628 Avenue E, Riviera Beach, Florida 33404. That's 1628 Avenue E, as in elephant, Riviera Beach, Florida 33404.
1628 Avenue E, as in elephant, Riviera, Florida. What was the zip? 404. All right. All right. The number for the class, if you want to call in, ask a question, anything like that, you're on the YouTube, is 305-954-543. Is that correct? 305-985-5453. 305-985-5453. All right, so everybody rolling. We going to Hebrews 9:15 real quick. Answer the brother's question. Now, Hebrews 9:15. This is Captain Zariak's body bag scripture on every single Christian that says that the New Testament is for everybody, right? Nobody can get around this scripture. He called it the figure four leg lock. All right, so we'll go ahead and start. Let me see if that's where we want to start at, though. Give me. I don't want to start all the way at 1, so let's go ahead and do 9. Go ahead and start at verse 9, Shakar.
Pertaining to the conscience.
Okay, so just to give you a little backdrop on this, right? If you go to verse 1, it said the first covenant had also ordinances and divine service and worldly sanctuary, for there's a tabernacle made, the first wherein was the candlestick and the table. So it's telling you about all the things that were in the old tabernacle, right? It's telling you about those things, how it was built, how the Lord set up things with Moses and the Levitical priesthood, right? It's explaining that to you. When it comes down, it's also explaining how what Christ was doing was better than that. Not that there was anything wrong with the Levitical priesthood and the original covenant. It was something wrong with the children of Israel. Let's make sure we got that, right? Something wrong with us. It wasn't nothing wrong with the covenant. But because we broke that covenant, there was need for a new covenant. So now, it's talking about all the different things Aaron had, the oil and the candlesticks and all of these different things and how they was, and them going in every year and making a sacrifice, right? So when we get to verse 9, it says, which was a figure for the time then present, in which were offered both gifts and sacrifice. So it's saying in that time you had to bring gifts and sacrifices to the altar that could not make him that did the service perfect as pertaining to the conscience. Meaning those same priests that you were all that was offering gifts and sacrifices, right? Those things did not make that priest perfect, or did not make him a better person than he already was. All right, so keep reading.
Verse 10, which stood only in meats and drinks and divers washing and carnal ordinances.
So all this stuff was like, okay, he cleansing himself, he washing himself, he's doing all these different things, right? It's working, right? But it's carnal. This thing didn't have anything to do with who he was as a person, what was in his mind, what was in his heart, how he really felt about the Lord. But all of this was what we would call today ceremonial. You know what I'm saying? No different than like water baptism or something like that, right? Everybody understand, right? All right, keep going, Shakar.
Imposed on them until the time of reformation. But Christ, being come and high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle.
So it breaks down the old tabernacle, right? The tabernacle was built. If you go back into the Torah and you read, it'll tell you how things are supposed to be. This is supposed to be this far, this long, and then it's supposed to be a candlestick here, and then it's supposed to be a thing for incense. It's supposed to be certain oil here, and an altar made to do this, and this is what you do at the altar, and this is what the priest does, and this is how it goes, and nobody can go in here, and this is everything explaining exactly how the Lord was very detailed about what he wanted, what he did not want, right? And here's the big part of what you got to make sure you understand. It's at the end of verse 10, right? Verse 10 say, which stood only in meats and drinks and diverse washings and carnal ordinances imposed on them until the time of reformation. All of this stuff was supposed to be done exactly the way the Lord said it until he reformed. Now, remember Christ in Matthew chapter 5 said, I have not come to destroy the law or the prophets. I ain't come to destroy, but to fulfill. He didn't come to change anything that the Lord said. All of this stuff is there. He just reformed it because Israel broke the covenant. Right? The Lord did it out of mercy for his chosen people in order to bring us back in the fold because we already broke it. Keep going. Oh, let me go ahead and get this. But Christ, being come a high priest of good things to come, right? So you had the priest at that time. Christ became a high priest for good things to come. Keep reading.
By a greater and more perfect tabernacle.
So it's describing Christ, right, as being a greater and more, let me use the word it used, a greater and more perfect tabernacle than the one that was in the Old Testament. How is that possible? Somebody.
Right, sir.
Go ahead.
Because in the first testament, in the first covenant, when we were given the law, we were only given the letter of the law, and Christ out of the spirit behind the law.
Okay, this is what I want you to concentrate on this word right here at the end of 9, right? When it was talking about being perfect. It was talking about the gifts and the sacrifice, right? That it say that could not make him that did the service perfect as pertaining to the conscience. Right? So when you drop down and it's talking about Christ, it's saying being more perfect, greater and more perfect tabernacle. How is that possible? I just asked the same question a different way because you was on it, but I want you to answer the question that I asked. How is that possible? How could Christ be greater than the tabernacle that the Lord created and made to be a certain way. Go ahead, whoever says Salaki.
Okay, we're talking about the sacrifices of the animals. That's not what changes us, but it's having us, because you would sacrifice an animal and you still don't change your ways or whatnot. But following Christ is what's gonna give you the word.
Let's go back to verse 9 real quick, right? In which were offered both gifts and sacrifices that could not make him that did the service perfect, as pertaining to the conscience. What's your conscience?
Salakia, sir.
Go ahead, DeAndre.
It's your mind, sir. Like,
Yeah. Well, who else said Salakia? He right. He own it. Go ahead, Art.
It's almost like like your spirit or soul will rather what lets you know right and wrong.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the brother DeAndre's answer. Your mind, right? Your heart. It's what's in your heart, right? Go ahead. Whoever somebody had a question, wanted to answer.
Sir. I was gonna say it's your spirit.
Right. Okay. So the problem with the old tabernacle wasn't the laws that the Lord gave. It was the spirit of the priest, right? If his conscience wasn't doing, his spirit wasn't lined up with what the Lord was saying, then him doing all this service is no different than, we talk about it all the time. If you're going to go out and commit the same crimes, why would paying the fine for doing that crime make you righteous when you're just going to go and pay the fine and do it again, right? This is the problem. This was the problem in all of Israel. If you look at Malachi, it even happened with the priesthood. That's why it had to be taken from Levi, because they was doing the same thing everybody else was doing. So now, I want to make sure that everybody understands that there was nothing wrong with the law, the tabernacle, everything that the Lord laid out for us to do, besides the fact that we didn't do it. Y'all get that part, right? Our heart wasn't in it. Our mind wasn't in it. Our conscience wasn't in it. So Christ, being a more perfect, right, tabernacle, meaning because his mind was in it, his conscience was right, he was perfect in his ways, right? That's what the scriptures say. This is the reason why he made a more perfect tabernacle, because he was a better priest than the priest that we had under the Levitical priesthood. He was a greater high priest than had ever been before him. He was a better servant to the Most High than the servants that came before him. All right, the reason why I'm saying this is because what a Christian would do would turn this as what Christ did against the Torah and what the Lord laid out in the Old Testament. That's not what this is saying. This is saying that Christ was better than the priest and the men that was in the Old Testament. You understand, right? So far, Shakar. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead.
Is it like saying that Christ wasn't a hypocrite?
You can add that to it. It's yeah. The main thing you want to get out of it, though, when it's talking about a more perfect tabernacle, it's talking about the men doing the work in the tabernacle.
Okay,
it's the service that's being done. They was doing what the Lord said as far as sacrificing the animals and giving the gifts and everything like that, and having the candlesticks where they supposed to be at and all of that. But when it came down to their spirit and their conscience, it wasn't lined up right perfectly with what the Lord wanted. And that was the difference between them and Christ.
So I got one.
Go ahead.
So it's like for an example, like a Christian pastor would tell you to tithes, and he won't take the money to do anything regarding the work of the Lord, but he'll take it to go buy some shoes or some gator shoes or pay his jet or something.
I mean,
like
you
that.
can use that on the other. It's more so. I'm trying to think of the easiest way to explain it. All right, the precept would be when Christ said, "Do as they say, but not as they do." Right? The scribes sit, Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. Give me that precept, and we'll explain it. Shakar, so far we ain't even got to where you was at, right?
Not yet.
All right, read verse 11 while the brother grabs that precept.
Verse 11. But Christ, being come an high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands.
Not made with hands. Why is he saying not made with hands? I just gave it to you. Go ahead.
Because it's not carnal.
He's not talking about the building. He's not talking about the tent. When he's talking about the tabernacle, he's talking about the men and their spirit within it that was doing the work of the Lord. Remember I said that? Shakar, you got me? Or no?
Okay.
Not made with hands. Go ahead. Go ahead.
That is to say, not of this building.
You see? Keep going. You get that or no?
Okay, that's crystal clear.
All right. Verse 13.
For if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of a heifer sprinkling the unclean sanctifies to the purifying of the flesh.
1 second. Did you skip verse 12?
After the 12.
Go ahead and read that again.
Okay, verse 12. Neither by the blood of goats and cows, but by his own blood he entered into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us.
Stop right there. Here's the thing. Every year, right, you have a day of atonement. Every year you have I can't think of the other one, but the priest would go into the tabernacle and atone for the sins of Israel, right? And before they atone for the sins of Israel, they would have to atone for their own sins. Think about that for a minute. All right? So now, what this is saying in verse 12, neither by the blood of bulls and goats and calves, but by his own blood. So this is what this is doing, is saying that the Old Testament, the things that were in the Old Testament, the sacrifices that the Lord requires, he still required them. But with Christ, instead of him giving the sacrifice of bulls and goats and calves, he sacrificed his own blood. It's trying to show you the importance of a man giving his life over a man giving a dove or a goat or a calf. You see that, Shakar? So now with the priest having to do it every year, right? It says he entered in once into the holy place and obtained eternal redemption for us. So you don't have to do it every year because he did it once. You get it? Or no? All right, now go to 13.
Verse 13. For if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of a heifer sprinkling the unclean, and the ashes of a heifer
Without spot.
Oh, sorry, without spot. To God. Purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God.
There it is right there. Now, what this is basically saying is what Captain Shawar says all the time. I'm not sure who taught it to him this way, but this is the way he taught it to me, right? You on death row. You committed a crime. You are sentenced to death. And your brother comes and says, I'll take this death penalty for him. Let him go. I'm going to die on his behalf. Right? That's different than you offering your favorite goat and saying, this thing look like it's going to be some good meat on the grill, but I got to sacrifice it. This goat is I got to give up my brother. Right? Now the goat was supposed to, you'd be like, no, I got to give up something that I love, that I want, that I, that my best. I got to give my best animal. It was supposed to slow you or deter you from sinning. And because of our conscience, it did not. What it's saying here, right? For if the blood of bulls and goats and the ashes of a heifer sprinkling the unclean sanctified. What that word sanctified? Anybody?
So I guess, sir.
Go ahead.
To purify it.
To cleanse, right? Cleansing to the purifying of the flesh. If this bull or this goat was supposed to clean you and make you do better in your flesh, verse 14, how much more shall the blood of your brother, shall the blood of Yahushua, who through the eternal spirit offer himself without spot, meaning he didn't even commit no crime, but he offered to give his life. How much more shall that purge your conscience from dead works to serving the living God? It can at least do better than a heifer or a goat, right? Or a calf. It should. If you care about anything besides your damn self and your lust, it should. It should keep you at least to think about, damn, my brother gave his life for me and I'm going to go out here and do the same thing over again. Because he did this, now we at verse 15. Everybody with me so far? Oh, Shiratazar, did you get the precept?
I don't want sir. I got it.
All right, let's go ahead and read that real quick before we break down the verse where the brother was asking about.
All right, the book of Matthew, chapter 23 and verse 3. All therefore, whatsoever they bid you observe.
Nah, go up. Go up one.
Sir.
You might as well go up to one.
Matthew 23 and verse 1. Then spake Yahushua to the multitude and to his disciples.
You see how it separated them, though? You know how they try to make the Most High and want to try to make Yahushua inclusive, right? Even when it's describing who he's speaking with. It said he's speaking to the entire multitude. And the people he with, right? It's a difference when me and my brothers go out and we speak to the multitude, that when I'm speaking to the multitude and to the people I'm with, knowing that the brothers that's in the truth gonna hear what I'm saying differently from the multitude because they in the truth. I just wanted to show y'all that it could have just said he spoke to the multitude and included his disciples in that, but the Lord separates what he wants separated. Keep going up.
That's heavy. Saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore, whatsoever they bid you observe.
So he telling brothers in the truth this too now. What they tell you to do it. Now he know good and well they don't follow the scribes and the Pharisees. Now to everybody else that do follow them, he telling them that too. Everything the scribes and the Pharisees tell you to do, you do it. Keep going.
That observe and do. But do after their work.
Mm-hmm. Don't do what they do though. Do what they tell you when because they telling you to follow and keep the laws of Moses, to keep the laws of God, to do those things that are not sin. But don't do what they do, because what they do is they sin and they don't keep the laws. Keep going.
For they say and do not. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders.
So they're telling you to do all this and all that. You got to do everything in order for the Lord to accept you and to do this, which is a hard thing to serve our God, the God of the Bible. It ain't easy to serve him, right? It's a scripture in Ecclesiastes that say, when you come to serve the Lord, expect temptation, right? In the scriptures, it say it's going to be, I want to paraphrase it, but it says diverse temptations or something like that. It's talking about count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. Somebody find me that one. It's talking about serving the Lord. This thing's not easy. If it was easy, then why out of the billion people that's on the earth, why the Lord only gonna choose 144,000 to help Christ rule in the kingdom?
Good luck here, sir.
Go ahead.
I found the precept in Ecclesiastes.
Not the one that said when you come to serve the Lord. You talking about that one? Go ahead and read that one. You can read it real quick. I ain't gonna break it down unless somebody need it broke down. It should be plain and simple. Go ahead and read it. Tell her where you at.
Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation.
Keep going.
Verse 2. Set thy heart aright and continue constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble.
Stop right there. This is what it's saying. Expect to go through something when you come in to serve the Lord. Why? Because Satan wants to prove to the Lord that you're not really serving him, that you're going to serve yourself. Yeah, that brother going to class, but you put the right woman in front of him, he will fall. Yeah, that sister coming to class, but you put her in the right situation, she will fall. This is Satan's job to prove to the Lord that you don't deserve the kingdom. So when you come in to serve the Lord, expect to fight. You go to Matthew chapter 4, Satan came to try to tempt Yahushua himself. So who is you? Who is you? You following Yahushua, you got to expect to go through what he went through. Or go ahead.
I got the right precept.
All right, go ahead. Nah, that one was a good one. I did call that one. I just ain't called for it. Go ahead.
In the book of James, chapter 1. James, a servant of the Most High, and the Salakia. James, a servant of the Most High, and of the Lord Yahushua, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad.
This is James talk. This is James talking to everybody, right? That's what it say. He talking to everybody. Nah, it don't say that. He ain't talking to everybody. Read it again.
James, a servant of the Most High, of the Lord Yahushua, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad.
This is who he wrote this to. To the 12 tribes scattered abroad. He ain't talking to everybody. He ain't talking to no heathens. He ain't talking to, you know what I'm saying, nobody but the 12 tribes that scattered abroad. The reason that's heavy and we bring this out, and I wanted to make sure I harp in on that point, this is in the New Testament. This is after Christ. He still wasn't talking to nobody else. This book is for one person or one group of people and their God. That's what this group is about. All right? I just wanted to make sure and cut that out. Go ahead.
it all joy when ye fall into drivers' temptation.
There it is right there. He's talking to the brothers that scatter in Israel, Israelites, scattered abroad. My brethren, who is my brethren? Right? Israelites. That's what Paul said. Count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. Why would you count it joy though? Why would that be a happy thing to be tempted and to have to fight that temptation? Why would you count that as joy? Anybody?
Salakia.
Go ahead. Go whoever said it first.
Salakia, sir. Does that mean that you're on the right track, possibly? That you be trial?
Yeah, it could just based on the precept that the brother just gave in Ecclesiasticus chapter 2, verse 1, where it says, when you come to serve the Lord, expect temptation, right? Set your heart aright and don't make haste in time of trouble. That means you got to be patient. James is saying this same exact thing right here in the New Testament. Same thing. And guess what? They talking to the same people. He said James it says James, a servant of the power and of the Lord Yahweh Shah Mashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. They talking to the same people. My brethren, who is my brothers, right? Count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. Go ahead to verse 3. That's exactly right. You on the right track. You know you trying to serve the Lord. Satan is going to come up against you that much more. Why? To prove. That's his job, to prove who you really are. Yeah, you done put on a headpiece. Yeah, you done quit doing this and you don't rob niggas no more. But I guarantee you, if Satan brings you the right temptation, you'll serve him over the Lord. The right amount of money, the right bad bitch, the right drug, whatever it is, Satan is there to put it in front of you and prove that you hate the Lord and you love your lust and you love yourself and you love this world. Everybody with me? Satan ain't got to try that hard for a nigga in the world, because the nigga in the world is going to follow his lust anyway. He ain't even trying to serve the Lord. So Satan ain't even got to give him nothing besides what was already there. But you think you better than everybody else. you think you in the truth. Why you can't just be like everybody else and smoke weed and snort cocaine and go to the strip club like everybody else? Why? Why, sis? Why you got to be better than all these bras that's following behind these sisters talking about what they gonna do and how they getting their money by selling their body and all that? Why you can't just be like them? Oh, you think you better than them? Satan gonna show you whether you better than them. That's where the temptation is coming from. You trying to do the right thing is giving Satan it's just like with the Most High said. Satan was like, I'm walking to and fro just to see what I can get myself into. He's like, well, have you thought about trying Job? The Lord was bragging on Job. Like, man, listen, man. Job is that dude. Job serves me. Job is perfect. You can't do nothing with him. Satan was like, you gave him everything. Now here come the temptation. Job had to lose everything. He lost kids. He lost money. He lost everything. This is why the story is in the Bible. It's proof. Again, you go to Matthew chapter 4. It's the same thing. This is Yahushua, the nigga that walked on water and raised the dead. And Satan like, yo, I'm going to give you all this if you just bow down and worship me. He's doing the same thing that our oppressor is doing to us right now. Give up on that truth stuff and come rock with me. That's what the plug's saying to you right now. That's what your oppressor is telling you as far as entertainment. You know how to shoot a jump shot? You know how to rap? You know how to twerk? Give up on that true stuff and come follow me. I'll give you everything you want. That's the temptation that comes with being in the truth. Every day you got to wake up and say, you know what? Because I'm serving the Lord, I may miss out on some things that I want in this life. That's the temptation. Deal with it. Or drop your sword and run and go get high right now. Because the weed is 10 times better than it was when I stopped smoking. And it'll be better tomorrow. The fake booties is 10 times bigger than they was when I was in the world. They'll be bigger tomorrow. All your lust and your desires that you are willing to drop and not serve the Lord for is always going to be there. That's why the scriptures say, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. They always going to be there. And Satan has always got a new tactic to get you to fall out the truth. That's what he was talking about. But at the end of the day, that's just one part of it. Your conscience, let's get back on track. Your conscience, your mind, your heart, your spirit has to be lined up with the Lord's spirit. Else you can't do it. Trooper Mashamar, you on the line? Can you read? Can you grab me Ezekiel 36 and 27? All right, so let's go back to Hebrews. Y'all got the point, right? This is what he was talking about. Why their conscience wasn't lined up, because you being tempted every day, and they falling left and right, because they conscience ain't lined up. So let's go back to verse 14. Shakar, tell everybody where you at.
Oh God. In the book of Hebrews, chapter 9 and verse 14. How much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God?
This stuff, the things that Christ did and gave his blood for yours, this should change your mind, your spirit, your heart, your conscience. This should purge your conscience to serving the living God. If you care anything about somebody besides yourself. Go ahead to verse 15.
Oh God. And for this cause, he is the mediator of the New Testament.
For what? For what cause? Anybody? What does it say? For this cause. What is the cause? Who said the young man said it first? Go ahead and answer, DeAndre. That was you.
The death of Yahushua.
Kinda. Go ahead, Shakar.
He's the mediator of the Testament for the cause of all our transgressions for sinning.
Nah, la'at. Anybody else? Go ahead. That wasn't it, Trooper. Go ahead, Priest.
Because the Most High sent them. Sir.
Go ahead, Priest.
Because the cause of sin against the Most High.
Oh, I thought that was Shiratza. That's a young man.
Yeah, young man, you're
One
right.
more, and I'll give it to you. Go ahead.
Because of the covenant that was made.
When it says for this cause, it's talking about. Go ahead.
It's because the old covenant wasn't as perfect.
Nah. The old covenant was perfect. It was the man, right? Remember we broke that down. The cause is in verse 4. The cause is in verse 14. It says, the blood of Christ, who through the eternal spirit, because he offered himself without spot to God. That's the cause. Because he gave up his life and he never sinned. Because he died and he shed blood of himself, or they shed his blood and he allowed it, even though he did nothing wrong. This is the cause. If Christ was sinning just like everybody else, then what would be the point? Right? Because he's willing to give his life for the children of Israel. That's why he's the mediator. Anybody not get it? Y'all quiet. Everybody understand? Go ahead, Itazal.
So you said that because basically he was perfect, like he lived, because he lived perfectly, and still took on the punishment for not being perfect or for not keeping the laws and commandments. That's the cause that he, that's the cause.
Because he was perfect, but yet he sacrificed his own life and shed his blood for the people who was not perfect.
Okay. Come on. Makes sense.
Shiratazar, read verse.
I got it.
Anybody not understand? Read verse 14 and 15 again now that we know the answer to what the cause is. Shakar. Yeah, go ahead.
Hebrews chapter 9, verse 14. How much more blood, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal spirit offered himself without spot to God, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God? And for this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance.
Everybody understand that? For this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament. Who was under the first testament? Go ahead. The children of Israel were under the first testament. So who's under the New Testament? Go ahead.
The same people that the descendants of the ones that was under the first.
You see why Captain Tazariot uses Hebrews 9 and 15. No Christian has been able to cut that yet, even answer it. For this is cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament. They which are called, who was called? The children of Israel, might receive the promise. Who was given the promise? The children of Israel, of eternal inheritance. You see it say death right there, Shakar, right? Your question was about the blood, right? When you sin, what is the wage that you have to pay for sin? That's in the Bible. Right? Okay. Let me see here. Well, you wanted to go all the way to 20.
Well, pretty much that's just where my question was. All of that is just my question was just pretty much that Christ's blood is what makes not Christ's blood, but like blood period. Is what makes a covenant intact. That was my question.
Well, in Hebrews, it talks about when the Lord made the first covenant, Moses sprinkled blood on the thing. That's what you're talking about? That's right here? That's where we at?
That's verse 19 and verse 20.
All right, so let's go ahead and read down.
I could start at verse 18?
Nah, we want to start right where we was at.
Okay, verse 16. For where a testament is, there must also of necessity be the death of the testator. For a testament is of force after men are dead. Otherwise, it is of no strength at all while the testator liveth.
Why is that? Can anybody tell me? Yeah, go ahead. Why is the testament important? More important after the the person that's under the testament is dead.
Sir.
1 second, Shakar.
I'm not too sure.
All right, go ahead, DeAndre, you had the answer?
I want to try and say because whatever that was prophesied or whatever after the person death, it lives on, or it's still people can go back to it for reference, or they can remember.
You kind of own it. I don't know if you're saying it right, but you kind of own it. So who else wanted to give it a try?
Sir.
Go ahead.
Is it saying that is it saying that Christ proved that the laws is it saying that the laws Christ proved that the laws don't change, that the laws are good because it don't
Nah, not quite. The brother was more on it. All right, let me explain it to you. Who is this?
Sir, this young man DeAndre. I want to try it again, sir.
Go ahead, real quick.
I would say the testimony or the prophecy that was given is good, but it don't hold no value until the person that's dead and gone, and it comes to pass after that person is dead.
That's it. Here's the thing. What we talking about here? We're talking about, I'm going to put two words together that's right there in the scriptures. Eternal, right? Eternal. What nigga live forever? Inheritance. Why would you give your children inheritance? Or when does a man give his children their inheritance?
Sir.
Go ahead.
When he passed
away. Right? We're talking about eternal inheritance, meaning the Lord is trying to give you, your kids, your kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids, all of the children of Israel, all the way down the line from generation to generation, an inheritance all the way from Abraham, right? So if I'm not going to die, my son ain't never going to get nothing. Y'all not with me or y'all with me? Everybody understand? Your body is carnal. It's going to die. What has to be lined up is your spirit in order for you to get the eternal inheritance. Christ is the one that got it. That's what he was saying earlier about them following the laws or teaching the laws, but their spirit wasn't lined up with the Most High Spirit. Mashamar, you got the precept? This ain't me. It's the Most High, in case you was wondering how that happened. Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 37, chapter 36, verse 27. And I will put my spirit within you.
Who is the I? Who is the I? Who is the I? So anybody besides Mashamar. Who is the I? It said, and I will put my spirit in you.
I can't say.
Go ahead.
The Most High.
The Most High. This is the Most High talking about putting his spirit in man, right? What did they say? Christ was a man with the spirit of God. Y'all get it? To follow Christ, you have to have the same spirit, right? This is the reason he's the mediator. You got to be willing to give your life for the children of Israel to get their inheritance. Go ahead and read it again, Mashamar.
Oh, God. And I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes.
It's going to cause you to jump around and and roll all over the floor and cut a step in church. That's what he said. When you get the spirit of the Lord, that's what it's going to cause you to do. Read it again.
And cause you to walk in my statutes.
Keep going.
And ye shall keep my judgment and do them.
This is the Spirit of God. The Spirit of God will cause you to walk in his commandments and keep his judgments and do them. That's what Christ had. This is what you got to have. This is the reason why he is the mediator. The Spirit of the Lord said, the Spirit, the law says, let's go get it real quick. Leviticus, somebody give me Leviticus chapter 17. Verse 11. We'll start at verse 10.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Leviticus chapter 17, verse 10. And whatsoever man there be of the house of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn amongst you, that eateth any manner of blood, I will even set my face against thy soul that eateth blood, and will cut him from Salakia, and will cut him off from among the people.
Stop right there. Right? When we do the breakdown, I was debating which one I'm going to do next week. We might go through the breakdown of how the Gentiles, right, in the New Testament, a lot of times is referring to the children of Israel. We probably do that next week in that glorious school in Riviera Beach. We probably do that one. But this is how you can get, one of the ways you can get cut off from being an Israelite. Eating bloody meat, eating rare steak, eating food with blood in it. Now, I ain't bring you here for that. I brought you here for verse 11. This is what the brothers asked in the first place. Go ahead and read verse 11.
For the life of the flesh is in the blood.
What?
And I have given. For the life of the flesh is in the blood.
Right, remember, the life of the spirit is in keeping the commandments and doing what the hell the Lord says and lining your spirit up with his. But the life of the flesh is in the blood. It's what's keeping you alive. Keep going.
And I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement of your souls.
He gave it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls. There must be blood spilled. That's the whole point of the bulls and the goats and all of that other stuff, to atone for your souls. You get that part, Shakar, right? It had to be some blood. The Lord made it for the altar to make an atonement for your soul. Keep going.
For it is the blood that maketh the atonement for the soul.
So now, go back. Knowing that, now that we know that, right? Go to verse 14, Shakar. Hebrews 9 and 14.
How much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God?
Does those two scriptures right behind each other answer your question? Or did I just confuse you? Or did I just confuse you? Explain it to me then.
It does answer my question. Was that sense logic?
No, I say explain it to me then.
Yeah, so the whole point of the New Testament, was Christ, atoning for all our sins, so there had to be blood spilled.
Somebody had to die. The wages of sin is death. Something had to die. And since the goat wasn't good enough, the heifer wasn't good enough, the calves wasn't good enough, the doves wasn't good enough, you just kill them over and over again. Maybe these niggas will care about my only begotten son, in whom I'm well pleased enough, or respect me to put on his spirit and to be willing to give his life so that their kids can get an inheritance promised to their forefathers thousands of years ago. Somebody had to die. Christ said, I'll do it. Christ said, I'll do it. Now, are you brothers and sisters going to piss on what Christ did? Are you going to send him to the electric chair over and over again? Are you going to hang Christ every time you know the truth and you choose not to do what the hell the Lord said to do? Because that's what you're doing. This is why he is the mediator. Because he offered himself without spot or blemish. Right? Back to verse 17. For a testator is of force after men are dead. Otherwise it have no strength at all while the testator liveth. Right? Read verse 18.
Whereupon neither the first testament was dedicated without blood.
Right? So even when he gave us the first covenant, it wasn't even given without blood. Go ahead.
Verse 19. But when Moses had spoken every precept to all the people according to the law, he took the blood of cows and of goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop, and sprinkled both the book and all the people, saying, This is the blood of the testament which God hath enjoined unto you.
So this was what Moses did during his time, right? And it was, the significance was that this was an oath to the Most High. And if we broke that oath, something had to die. Right? Drop down. Nah, go ahead and read the next one.
Verse 21. remission.
There it is right there. One scripture after you thought. Ain't no remission. You can't get around it. There has to be a sacrifice made for you sinning against the Lord. Now here's the thing. Once you come into the knowledge of the truth, Christ's blood is not the only blood that's going to be shed for your sins, because he already took the electric chair for you the first time. Now you want to go jump back and commit the same crimes. Now your blood is on your hands again. Everybody understand? All right. So don't just keep sinning and putting it on Jesus. Don't do that. All right. If you want, give me 10 and 26, the next chapter over real quick. Just so y'all won't think I'm making this up. Ten and 26, Shakar.
Hebrews chapter 10, verse 26. For if we sin willfully, after that, we have received the knowledge of the truth.
What is a sin? Anybody that's not a officer. Go ahead.
And it's a transgression of God's law.
So what? Okay. So now, for if we sin, meaning transgress God's law willfully, after we have received the knowledge of the truth, keep going.
There remaineth no more sacrifice for sin.
So Christ sacrificed his life. If you keep sinning after you done came into the knowledge of the truth, that sacrifice cannot help. You're going to get what was promised to you under the Old Testament. You're going to die. All right? Just so y'all know. Shakar, did I answer your question? All right. Most High in Christ. Go ahead.
I can't really remember, the book, chapter, verse, but like if I paraphrase it, like precept to Hebrews 9, would it be that scripture that says like let us enter into a covenant with blood with God?
What does it say?
It's something along the lines. I can't remember it too well. It's like I think it's somewhere like in Deuteronomy or Exodus. It says let us enter into a covenant with blood.
Find it for me. Let me make sure that's a precept. All right. I don't know the one you saying right off. It sounds familiar, but I don't want to just be like, yeah, that's it. And then you read it in context and it's talking about something totally different. Know what I'm saying? I got too much responsibility to do that. So yeah, just find it. All right. About to jam me up. I'm not about to jam you up neither. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 6 real quick. Ecclesiasticus chapter 6. In the Apocrypha, we don't always say in the Apocrypha in the school, because those of us who are in the truth know that the Apocrypha is a part of the Bible. If you're on YouTube, I got here in my hand King James 1611. It's one book, right? It's got everything that's in this book, which is the Holy Bible, the one that they got, every hotel, every church, people got on their dashboard, right? And it's also got the books that the Roman Catholic Church took out that was commissioned by King James in 1611 to be in the Bible. All right? Ecclesiasticus is one of them. We're going to verse 6. Kind of remind me of Ecclesiastes and Proverbs. It's game. It's game in this book right here. Right? You said the whole chapter, right? This chapter is 37 verses, which we're not gonna go over, but we'll start at verse 1 if you want, unless you got a particular verse that your question was at. This is for the brother who asked the question about being a brother. Is this all about being brotherly or being a brother? Is that the question that you had?
That was the question that I was having. Is this basically on how to be a brother under the authority of another brother, and is this a law? And it's pretty much like starting from like verse 7 through like verse 17.
All right, we'll start at verse 7 then, since it started at verse 7.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 6.
I'm glad you started, Salakia. I'm glad you started there, because this is one that a lot of people, if you haven't heard this before, this will help you out with how you treat people, especially people in the world, moving forward as you continue to grow in this truth. All right, this is how you want to do it. And this is, if you a sister, don't be if you a sister, this will help you out with how you choose men. This will help you out with how you choose other sisters that you want to hang around. If you a brother, it'll help you with how you choose a woman, and it'll also help you with what types of people that you need to be around and how you figure out whether they real. That's what this is about. So let's go ahead and read it.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 6 verse 7. If thou wouldest get up a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him.
Yo, if you're gonna call somebody your friend, that's a strong word, right? In the world, you could meet somebody that night and be like, "Oh yeah, this is my friend." You, as a kid, as a child, you'll run up and somebody you play with them one time, you meet them, they stay next door, something like that. That's your friend, right? But as an adult, it can't be like that. If you're gonna choose a friend as an adult, it says prove him first. What does it mean to prove him?
To test him, Salakia, sir.
Test him how?
Salakia, sir. The scriptures say that if you're gonna worship the Most High, you have to do it in a deed and in truth. You know, so everything that they do, it must be in spirit and it must be of the Most High. It must be in deed and in truth. You just can't just say it. You have to show it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take that. Anybody else?
Like your turn.
Go ahead.
Yeah, to test and to prove something in scripture.
All right, yeah, y'all a little heavy or deep with it, though. Like, we're just talking about a friend. Let's say the brother or the sister is not in the truth, right? How would you prove that they're worthy to be called your friend?
Salakia.
Go ahead.
You would basically give them the benefit of the doubt. If they want to borrow some money and they saying that they're gonna pay it back,
Salakia.
you give
Let me not even let you walk down. Absolutely not. No, don't do that. You're never gonna see your money again. I promise you. They might even be good people, and you still never gonna see your money again. They're gonna tell you they're gonna pay you back when they get their stimulus check. Hey, you're not gonna see it. Nah, don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Here's the thing, right? I give people in the truth the benefit of the doubt, for the most part, because they understand that the Lord will punish them for sinning. But somebody in the world, I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to give them no money. I'm not going to do none of that, because they don't understand the very basic principles about life. And that's that we are to serve and do what the Lord said to do in this Bible. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not covet another man's wife. All of these things, if they ain't following all of that, what gives me why would I ever give them the benefit of the doubt? Who am I? If they don't fear the Lord, who the hell am I? No, that's not what it meant. When he's saying prove them, right? It's saying go through something with them. right? Give them some time. That's why I said the next one, be not hasty to credit them. Give some time under their belt. Everybody you meet is going to be nice at first. Every sister you meet, she's going to see, oh, she got her head together. Every brother you meet, oh, yeah, he got this. He's doing this for himself, because they telling you what they want to know, and they showing you what they want you to see. Don't be hasty to credit them. Most times, people ain't going to steal from you the first chance they get. But they will watch you slip, and they will learn how to steal from you over time. Not just steal from you. But if you expecting somebody to be in your corner, to have your back, all of these different things, it's going to have to take the right situation for you to be in order for you to see it. I would not give anybody outside of the truth the benefit of the doubt, to be honest with you, because people drop their sword and all of that. Even the people that's in here, he who endures the end, that's the one that's going to be saved. You know what I'm saying? It's brothers and sisters that's on the phone right now, that if you're here next year, if I'm here next year, they probably won't be here. That's the reality. So I ain't giving nobody the benefit of the doubt. I will if you're in the truth, but that's what this is talking about, is going through something with somebody, giving them time to show you who they really are. All right, so go ahead to verse 8, and it'll explain. DeAndre, you got me on mute?
Verse 8. For some man is a friend for his own occasion, and will not abide in the day of thy trouble.
Uh-oh. These the people that are trying to use you to get ahead for something you got. And then when you down bad, they ain't gonna be there. Right? Big Boy from Outkast said in one of his lines, they hang around you because you buying all the weed and all the chicken, feeding everybody. But when you was broke, they was missing. Right? That's what he was that's what this is talking about. As long as you good and everything on you and you doing good, yeah, that's my dog. Right? But let's say you getting down bad, they're not going to be there. They're not going to have your back. They're not going to take the time. They're not going to spend no money with you. That's what this is talking about. Keep going. Go ahead.
So I have a question on that, on verse 8. Like, so what happens if it's flip side? What happens if it's vice versa, where like we are in the truth, we are in the body, and like, let's just say like, you know, like, okay, for example, you know how Commander General Hanna had posted the supply list or whatever the case may be, and let's just say like a big famine came, right? And we as the ISUPK, we gathering stuff like that, and we stocking up stuff, you know, and doing things of that nature, and then like we telling people like, hey, y'all need to do this, y'all need to do that, y'all need to come with us, y'all need to stock up, put your money here, and they not doing it, and they laughing at us, and then when time comes, like, what do we do then?
Well, we do exactly what we've been doing right now. You went to a food drive, right?
Sir.
Okay. Before we gave away anything, I don't know if you was up there. I don't know. There was one thing that was said, and there was a question that was asked before we gave anything to people who were not in the truth. What was that question? Do you remember?
Sir.
Anybody else remember?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's the same thing every food drive. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else, all you brothers good. You know what I'm saying? Does any one of you brothers need anything? You know what I'm saying? As far as food.
Yeah, I took a bag home with me. I took some bread home with me. I got that before anybody got anything. Why? Because we the ones who gonna make sure everybody else is straight. Let me give you something that Captain Shaward taught me, right? All right. The father in the family who's gonna make sure everybody else eats. He eat first, right? In the world, the kids eat first, right? In the truth, daddy eat first. Here's the difference. A kid is going to eat as much as he wants with no regard for everybody else in the house because he's a child. That responsibility shouldn't be his. But even though the father's going to eat first, he's going to make sure, or it's his job and responsibility to make sure that everybody else eats as well. Right? We eat in rank and order. Even at the Passover, Commander General Hunter gonna get his plate first. But if it's somebody that's there all the way down the line, the lowest man here, I guarantee you, it's brothers that have rank that will give their plate to that brother or that sister or that child, because that's our responsibility to make sure other people get fed. The question that you asked is a good question. We're just going to make sure that the people who's doing the work and the people who did and took heed to what he said, that they eat first. And if there's some left for the people who don't follow and don't do what they told and they still our brothers and our sisters, and we have enough, we'll help them out as well and make sure they get taken care of.
Sir.
All right.
Like it, sir.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add a precept on what we were just talking about.
Let me hear it.
Yeah. Ecclesiasticus chapter 40, verse 28.
What does it say?
My son, lead not a beggar's life, for better it is to die than to beg.
How does that what does that have to do with what we was just talking about? Explain why this is a precept.
I thought that would probably be a good precept, like if a beggar could be like, maybe someone may not have something, or they may need something.
Okay, here's the thing. It's a difference between needing something and being a beggar, right? This would be if you asking somebody for something, in the world or in the church, they would say that. I remember my mama used to say that. Like, she was telling me, don't go in the store and don't ask for nothing. But she'll say, don't go in here begging. That's how they say it. I don't know if y'all from Florida. My mama would be like, don't go in here this store begging. I ain't begging for nothing, but I'm asking for it. But that's the word she uses to equate me asking or wanting something. It's different, right? As far as needing something. What this is telling you is don't be I want to use the word slack as far as being willing to do what it takes to feed yourself and feed your family and all of that. But that don't mean you ain't going to come into times where you need a person like what we talking about in Ecclesiasticus 6. Somebody who got your back, right? When you decide to serve the Lord, remember, you're going to get tempted. One of those temptations may be what I went through coming in the truth, what Captain Katazai, I remember, went through coming in the truth, where you lose everything and you need people. I remember I was not even in the truth. I wasn't in the truth at all. Captain Katazai found ISUBK and was working on his Hebrew name down in Orlando, right? At one point, he told his story, so I don't think Salakia, I don't think he'll have a problem with me telling it. He was living in his car, right? And the brother would come to my house, and another brother that we had down there, he would go to his house every day, 7 o'clock, use the Wi-Fi to come to get in class. He never asked for nothing to eat. He ain't never asked for nothing, but he would use the Wi-Fi to get in class. Right? That's needing something and being willing in the truth and trying to seek out what was going to get him in a position to be the man he is today. That's different. Being a beggar is you ain't willing to work to get nothing. You ain't willing to do anything. That's what that scripture that you pulled was talking about, Bukwash. It's a little bit different. All right? Now, go ahead.
If I may add, the beggars that verse is talking about and what you said, it's like those homeless people, those Edomites you see on the side of the road on the highway with a sign that got all of their senses, their eyes, they sight, they smell, they taste, they touch, they can walk, they can do everything but go on work for their money, but they out there begging for it and want you to feel sorry for them. when they ancestors and they fathers are in the seat.
Well, yeah, you can put it like that, but you got brothers that's doing that same thing, brothers and sisters doing the same too. It's just that something that you taught. It's a learned behavior as far as begging and what you're saying. Sometimes you're just in a messed up situation. But here's what I'll tell you: if you serve the Lord, He feed. In Matthew chapter 6, it talks about how the Lord feed the flowers and the trees and the birds, and they don't do nothing. How much better are you, right? But yeah, I don't want to get off into the beggar thing, but sometimes people just in an unfortunate situation and they don't know nothing better than to go out and beg somebody for something. But that scripture that he just pulled is speaking against that, because if you do this, what it says in Ecclesiasticus 6, then brotherhood should stop you from having to ask anybody. The Lord will provide, but you got to serve Him, and you got to be around the right people. All right, so let's go back and find out who the right people is. Go ahead to verse
9.
Yeah, read verse 8 again.
I don't want concept. Well, some man, Ecclesiastes chapter 6, verse 8. For some man is a friend of his own occasion, and will not abide in the day of thy trouble.
All right.
And there is a friend who, being turned to enmity and strife, will discover the reproach.
Will discover your reproach, right? Y'all go at it. Then now you'll see that this brother was never your friend in the beginning. Keep going.
Again, some friends is a companion at the table and will not continue in the day of thy affliction.
So now they sit there and they eating with you when everything is good, but in the day when you going through it and you ain't got nothing, it's the same thing that it was talking about. It's just giving different examples. When there ain't no table, they ain't gonna be there. All right, keep going.
But in thy prosperity, he will be as thyself, and will be bold.
Go ahead.
And will be bold over thy servant.
So say DeAndre is a king. He's a mighty man, right? And you got this dude. Oh, that's my nigga DeAndre right there. We getting money out here. Me and my dog doing this. That's him. He you, right? He talking trash. He's stunting on broads and everything. He's stunting on niggas and all with your money. It's like cats hanging out with Floyd Mayweather. They in his posse, and they just like they Floyd. You hanging out with a rapper or entertainer or a basketball player. You part of LeBron James's entourage, and they acting like he LeBron James. There's some friends that's like that. They gonna rule over. They gonna tell your maid, fix me a sandwich. They gonna tell, right? Like they you. Some friends like that. And you in your prosperity, he gonna be like you. And he gonna be bold over the servants. The people that serving you. Because you in a position. Go ahead to verse 12.
If thou be brought case.
There it is right there. Anytime you're going through something, you brought down, you lose it. LeBron James get hurt, he lose all his money. He get found out. You go through something. You know what I'm saying? Money Mayweather catch a rape charge, whatever the case may be. Brother fall off, you don't never hear from him. He ain't your friend no more because you going through something. So this is telling you, just, you know what I'm saying, just be careful who you calling your friend. That's what the whole point of this is. You can read one more verse and then we'll go ahead and matter of fact, yeah, go ahead and read two more verses. Give me verse 13 and 14 and then we'll move on.
Kind of one concept. Separate thyself from thy enemy.
Y'all hear that?
And
keep going.
And take heed of thy friends.
Mm-hmm.
A faithful friend is strong defense, and he that found such in one has found a treasure.
This is how you gotta understand it. Just like it says, a virtuous woman, who can find her? Her price is far above rubies. If you can find a good friend, you have found a treasure. This is the reason why the ISUPK is the greatest place on earth. Why? Because if y'all brothers are under the command of Commanding General Yohana, who is following Yahushua, who said brotherhood is 1 and 2, the second most important thing in serving the Lord. The greatest commandments, right? One, love the Most High. The other one is love your neighbor, your brothers like yourself. So now, if you following Commanding General Yohana, right? He commands that you be a good friend, you be a good brother, that we don't treat each other a certain type of way. Yeah, you might hear a brother talking rough to another brother, but at the end of the day, he's willing to give his life for that brother. He ain't talking to him. He talking to the demons that's on him. He ain't talking to that sister harshly for no reason. He sees something in her that needs to be corrected and is willing to do that. But at the end of the day, that brother with that rank, every brother you've met with any rank in here is humble at the end of the day. We say it all the time. I ain't shit. Christ said it. Why callest thou me good? Where you think we get it from? Have a conversation with Commander General Yohana. Have a conversation with General Miami. You'll see people outside of the truth will pretend like we worshiping them. Reality is they're being a better friend, a better brother than these people that's outside of the truth could ever be or find outside of the truth. And it all comes from the Bible. That's the whole point of this book. This is the whole, every law, statute, and commandment is based on brotherhood, and you can use that as a guide to show whether or not a brother is a good friend or not. So if you can find one outside of here, that's good. I got a brother that we've been down since I was like 15 years old in high school. He's not in the truth, but that's my brother. I consider him a friend just because of what we've been through. But I would rather him come in here so I can consider him my brother, like I consider y'all brothers that I might have known for a year or two. You get that, right, DeAndre? All right, so it's not really talking about being up under or over a brother. It's really talking about, you know, just how y'all interact with each other, how a person gonna act like he this or that or whatever. And at the end of the day, just give him some time. He'll show you who he really is. Because there's some brothers that was in this truth walking with us that I thought was my friend. And because of their lust, because their desire, because of their woman, they ain't here no more. And if they willing to drop their sword and walk away from this truth because of their desire, their lust, their woman, they ain't with me in the time of trouble. Because I need them right now for us to raise up this nation. You get what I'm saying?
Quick question. Like, what happens if, like, let's just say, an oppressor or another nation tries to befriend one of us, and the scriptures say to be peaceful with all men, but we ain't supposed to be dealing with that. So how do we not be friends with them, but not be rude or mean?
All right, let me give you the example General Muhammad said, right? If I'm walking in the store, right, and it's a old white broad coming behind me, and because I'm in the ISUPK, I see her coming behind me, and I pull the door closed so the bitch can't open the door herself, rather than letting her in. Is that going to help the plight of my people? Is that gonna help us get out of slavery? Is that gonna stop crackers from shooting us down in the street? La, right? Here's the thing. What you have to understand about the children of Israel is we are a more compassionate people than anybody else on the planet. We are a more merciful people than anybody else on the planet. So naturally, right? It's in us. When we rule over this nation, when we rule over the world up under Christ, we're not going to be like Esau is with us. Of course, they got punishment coming, double. But at the end of the day, it's only because of the crimes that they committed. It ain't because of, we just want to be terrible people like they are. You understand what I'm saying? Like, the answer your question as far as being friends with another nation. The friends that's of another nation or whatever, the heathens that will, they the same people this is talking about in Ecclesiasticus chapter 6. Read verse 8. Read verse 8 real